From this exact fixed viewpoint, Berlin now appears as a scar turned into strength, where every century still echoes. At the place where the Great Gate will one day stand, there is only cold wind, reeds by the river, animal tracks, and an endless gray sky. The wet open ground is still wild, yet hunting paths have begun to sink deeper into the earth, a sign that human feet now know this place. Heavy mist blankets the river meadow, the dark forest presses close to the water, and the future ground of the city remains silent in its primeval stillness. New groups pause at the riverbank and raise fire beside the water, their thin smoke hinting that this land is beginning to wake. At this exact viewpoint, the water route and the overland path begin to meet, turning wilderness into a place of exchange. There is still no gate and no square, only a raised strip of ground above the river branch, where cargo boats and passing people already leave their mark. From the future line of the gate, sparse wooden roofs and a small landing begin to emerge, and daily life starts to settle with more certainty. Kitchen smoke, animal skins, dried fish, and the sound of axes in wet timber make this place feel less wild and more like a river crossroads. A gray sky hangs over the wet ground, while small cargo movements along the Spree begin to give this place strategic value. More tents rise, the earth track grows clearer, and at the future site of the gate, passing people are no longer rare. Trade rises with each season, wooden roofs gather more tightly, and this stretch of ground is now watched with care. A Berlin not yet fully named is taking shape from both riverbanks, where merchants, craftsmen, and herders begin to meet. From this fixed viewpoint, the first urban pulse can be felt in cargo boats, distant chapel bells, and earth churned under many feet. As Colin enters the written record, this ground looks out on a young trading center rising beside the Spree. Wooden houses press closer together, trade routes grow busier, and Berlin is no longer only a river landing. Prosperity now reaches every dirt road, as fur, grain, and timber change hands before the eyes of the market. Stronger roofs, larger storehouses, and the future line of Paris or Platz already carry the breath of an urban place. As Brandenburg rises as an electorate, the air here begins to carry the pull of power beyond that of a mere town. The markets deepen, the population thickens, and the far river landing receives goods without pause. With the Hohenzollerns taking Brandenburg, political power begins to cast a visible shadow over ordinary life here. From this viewpoint, Berlin feels drawn closer to the court, less free perhaps, yet visibly richer in influence. As the ruling residence becomes more constant, noble carriages and horses make this ground look more refined. Trade is still dense, but the atmosphere has changed, as the city tries to keep its place amid new unrest. The Reformation reaches Berlin, and old rituals begin to crack under new prayers and a new order. Taverns, trading houses, and wagon trains make this place louder now. Berlin is beginning to live by streets as much as by water. The 30 Years' War begins, and the rhythm of commerce gives way to fear. The war ends in exhaustion. The people are fewer, the faces hollow, and this ground is coated in dust, hunger, and loss. A Jewish community begins to take root, and new arrivals bring fresh layers of trade and learning. After the Edict of Potsdam, Huguenot arrivals make Berlin richer in voices, trades, and ambition. Berlin becomes the royal capital of Prussia. The gate is not yet here, but power is already brightening the road. Schools advance, urban discipline deepens, and this place witnesses a Berlin learning how to grow with order. The customs wall and the old Western Gate define a threshold of taxation and trade. Under the Prussian Enlightenment, the roads grow neater, carriages more numerous, and the city begins to carry itself like a capital. Grand architecture rises nearby, and the Western Way grows busier, as if Berlin is practicing for greatness. The Brandenburg Gate now stands in full authority, turning Prussian power into stone, columns, and light. Carriages, soldiers, nobles, and foreign visitors pass under the gate, and Berlin now stands fully on the stage of Europe. A new university opens, new ideas circulate, and conversations beneath the gate grow denser with thought. The city recovers from war, industry appears on the horizon, and Berlin begins to step away from the old courtly world. Gas lamps change the Berlin night, and the hours around the gate begin to glow longer than before. Disease and anxiety move through the city, yet patrols, transport, and survival continue at the gate. The first railway links Berlin to Potsdam, and from here the capital looks ready to accelerate into a new age. Revolution erupts, and the western side of the gate becomes a place where gunfire and the hunger for freedom collide. Modern water systems begin to transform daily life, and the gate stands in front of a cleaner, denser Berlin. Berlin expands its borders, its population surges, and the view through the gate becomes crowded with labor, freight, and soldiers. The German Empire is proclaimed, Berlin becomes the capital, and the gate turns from beauty into a symbol of power. Electricity begins to flicker across Berlin, and under the gate the rhythm of people and machines starts to overtake the horse. Workers, newspapers, politics, and fierce arguments move through this place, turning the gate into a backdrop for an industrial age. Berlin is now vast, crowded, and modern. The gate stands inside a sea of people, trams, and industrial dust. Wealth, science, and imperial confidence cover the city, yet even here the first shadow of tension can already be seen. The war ends, the empire falls, and before the gate the exhaustion of soldiers merges with a Germany changed forever. Weimar Berlin glows, daring and restless. Beneath the gate the people look fashionable, but crisis is already approaching. Torchlight under National Socialism floods through the Brandenburg Gate, turning this frame into a stage for power-consuming freedom. Fear has thickened the air. Jewish storefronts lie shattered, uniforms multiply, and the gate stands silent before the dark. Berlin shatters in the final battle. Black smoke swallows the gate, and wreckage turns a symbol into a witness of hell. In a divided Berlin, the space around the gate fills with control, and the people carry a constant cold tension. The wall rises, the Brandenburg Gate is sealed, and what was once a threshold becomes a hard frontier of history. Detente softens the mood only slightly. Barbed wire, watchmen, and the death strip still freeze the air before the gate. Western visitors look toward the east, cameras click, and the symbol of Berlin remains trapped between concrete and ideology. The wall opens, Berliners surge forward, they cry, embrace, climb the concrete, and the gate breathes again. Berlin returns to the center of German power. Cranes, construction, and diplomacy begin to build a new capital around the gate. The federal government completes its move to Berlin, and the area around the gate fills with official cars, foreign guests, and national rhythm. Festival crowds, banners, and church bells make the space before the gate feel solemn and alive at once. The World Cup turns the axis of the gate into a sea of the world. Flags, giant screens, and cheering keep Berlin awake all night. Tourists pack the square, street performers work without pause, and the gate becomes a living postcard of Germany. Berlin looks confident, creative, and open. Before the gate, bicycles, protest, tourism, and history now share the same frame. After the World Cup victory, the crowd returns like a wave, and the Brandenburg Gate becomes a stage for national pride once more. Security grows denser, the barriers become more visible, yet life does not slow. The symbol still draws people in. The pandemic falls over the square, and the unusual emptiness before the gate lets the modern city hear its own breathing. International visitors return, phones rise everywhere, and the old symbol of division now lives through connection. From this exact fixed viewpoint, Berlin now appears as a scar turned into strength, where every century still echoes.